Hello everyone, just making a quick little video talking about some of the things going on in the market and kind of just going to reiterate some of my prior thoughts that I've had on where this market could be going, as well as just some thoughts on what might happen with some of the main market fears that we are seeing. So that's right where I want to start, with some of the market fears that we've actually been seeing in this market. So as we've known for a long time, one of the biggest fears that we have right now going on is inflation. People have been worried about inflation, if it's going to be out of control, if we're going to taper, when we're going to taper, how we're going to taper. These are all big questions that, in my opinion, have been leading to a lot of the downside that we've had recently in the stock market. And with that, I think it's also been pressing a lot of people out of the stocks and into bonds or into repos or other types of less risky assets that the large money can still go and make good money on with having minimal risk, right? On top of this, we also have COVID and more specifically Delta and Delta fears and Delta case counts. We need to be watching the case counts to see if they're going up, if they're going down. But as of recently, we've gotten FDA approval on the Pfizer vaccine, so that's really good. And then we're also seeing a decline in specific states, not every state yet, but certain states we are starting to see a decline in, so that is all good news. And COVID, I found, is very interrelated to the supply chain issues. So essentially, right now, we already know what the supply chain issues are, and we kind of have seen how bad they're going to get. And the only way that they would get any worse from where they are today is if Delta, or if COVID rather, were to get any worse and were to start to shut down more of the shipping places or the people who manufacture some of the products that we might be needing to get for supply, such as semiconductors, right? And then kind of our variable wild card, our last little piece of fear that we have in this puzzle is Afghanistan as of recently. So it's kind of like I said, it's like a wild card. So to me, I'm watching it to see what's going on over there. Right now, it doesn't seem to be affecting markets super like crazily or anything like that. But it definitely could if things were to progress and get much worse over there. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on that. So basically now let's talk about how these fears have questions associated with them, right? And how answering those questions could lead into catalysts for an upcoming stock market rally, and more specifically, a rally in small cap tech and growth stocks, okay? So let me hurry and just kind of look at my notes here as I've kind of written down what, in my opinion, is kind of like the best bull case scenario that we should be looking for. So in my opinion, if the Fed comes out, especially during this Jackson Hole symposium that we have going on right now, and they say, hey, look, we're going to start tapering this year. We're going to start tapering very, very soon because we want to beat inflation. So if we have that plus good Delta or good COVID data, rather, we keep on seeing COVID inflect downward, then that's going to continue to also put pressure on maybe a possible rally. And on top of that, let's just say that Afghanistan's news stays somewhat positive and nothing seems to get any worse or progress any farther than where it is. Well, if all three of those catalysts seem to go fine, then that means that no more supply chain issues are going to be there. And so now we kind of have a broader understanding of when we're going to tackle inflation. Delta is going down. Supply chains are kind of at the worst they could be. And Afghanistan is just doing what they're doing. So in that scenario, I think that now most of the risk or the haze of the risk that we've had in the market will be kind of gone, right? It's kind of going to evaporate. And with that happening, I feel like a lot of the big money, a lot of the hedge funds and different smart money are going to get out of repos, get out of bonds, and go back into stocks. Now, this is where another philosophy of mine comes into on which stocks, right? Well, the Dow and S&P stocks and even some of the QQQ stocks, they have just been going crazy and have been rallying for this whole year, essentially, all-time highs. And if they're not all-time highs, they've been at a pretty good high and just trading sideways for the most part, right? Well, in my opinion, if you look at the Russell 2000, the small cap growth tech stocks, they, for the most part, have been trading sideways or have been beaten to death in this market. And it's created quite a really good opportunity on some of those riskier assets. But now that they've gotten so cheap, I feel like some of the smart money might look at them as less risk due to the fact that they are as cheap as they are. And maybe they're going to pull some of the money from the overweight, maybe overbought stocks such as Apple, Microsoft, Target, Costco, things around there, and put them into these high risk stocks right now while they're such a good deal, because it's essentially minimal risk on high risk, high return investment. So that's kind of my thought process anyway on this, on what I feel like could happen. And I feel like the last few days maybe are the beginning of this. And I've also just kind of felt like this is what has possibly been in the works of the market for a while now. If you go back and watch some of my prior videos, like my market warning video, the coming rotation that I posted, I talk about the same thing in there. I just wanted to kind of reiterate some of my ideas, because now that we're seeing this come to fruition, I believe, I think it's really important to kind of be watching that happen to see if this is honestly what the rotation is going to be. Now, I could be wrong. I mean, I'm not right. I'm not trying to say that I'm always right or that I know what's going to happen, because no one can predict the future. But just based on the evidence that we have and based on the technical data that we do have, then I think that this is definitely a possible outcome. Now, the only things that I want to talk about that we want to watch for that could shoot this idea down and make this rally into Russell 2000 small cap tech growth not happen would be these things. Jackson Hole Symposium happens, okay? And let's say they decide we're going to wait to taper. Well, that'd be maybe bad. And then what could lead to that being worse is the CPI data coming out September 14th for this next month comes in higher and basically makes last month's good CPI data like null and void, right? That could also happen. Now, the other thing we need to watch for is Delta case counts. If they keep going up, we get more and more Delta, that could be another thing that just scares the market and makes it to where we wind up having more pain, okay? And then last but not least, our wild card, Afghanistan. If things go bad over there, of course, we could expect to see some reaction in the market as well. But anyway, guys, I just want to give you that little recap of kind of what my thoughts are on this market and where I feel like it could go. I hope that you did enjoy this video. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button down below. I hope you guys are having a great week. We'll see you guys here in the next video. I'm going to be posting a video on what Cardano is, as well as how I added $200,000 to my net worth at 22 years old. Here soon. I've been really busy this last couple weeks, so I'm sorry I haven't had as many videos coming out, but I really do appreciate everybody who has subscribed as of recently. It really means a lot to me. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you next time.